What's up, y'all? I'm back with another video and I'm ready to show y'all how I made this super cute mermaid gown with the Godets at the bottom, and this was my third prom dress. So let's get right into it. This is the fabric that I chose to use. It was a 4-way stretch and it wasn't thin, like it was just giving luxury. Like, I love that it had a little shine to it. This is the applique that I ordered, and I've seen so many of these appliques around, y'all. That's why next year I'm gonna do mine a lot differently and just like add some stuff to it. And I just ordered like some little extra crystals to give it like an extra look. But I started with my skirt, since this is my first time making a mermaid gown with a split in the front. I just used a pattern that I already had, and if you guys have seen my previous videos, I have used this pattern like 3 times. So I love it, and you can definitely measure it to your size. I normally just use the skirt part, which is what I'm folding now, because as you guys can see, she was very tiny, like she was so small. So I'm just measuring out her hips, her waist, and her thighs, and I'm going to divide it by 4 because of course we're going to cut it in half. So that's what I'm doing now, and you would definitely want to do this first. And right here, y'all, of course I got to get my content, baby, because content is king. So I just did like a video showing my first prom dress and the second and third dress I made for me and my baby, and just some stuff I was working on. But let's get back to the video. So after you do that, you want to get like the bottom parts of your pattern, and I had got this pattern from what was her name? I gotta link it below, y'all. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. So I ordered this pattern for her, from her, and like I said, I just started, so I'm still working on like creating my own patterns. And excuse my filthy socks. Oh my god, that looks so crazy. Ugh, I'm so embarrassed. But anyway, y'all, so I'm just like making sure everything is lined up. And as you guys can see, I'm using my red marker so that I can kind of make her measurements stand out from the pattern that I already had. Since I have used it, a couple times before, I just wanted to make sure that the length was good and that, everything measured out perfectly. After I did that, I just measured my split, and like I said, I already took good measurements, so I know how high I wanted the split to come at the top. So I just did that. That's why I drew that line straight down, so that way my split can be even, like right on the middle of her thigh. So once we got that measured out, we just fold our fabric in half, and then I just place the pattern on the fabric, and now I'm going to cut it. Now for this fabric, I'm not adding any seam allowance to this part of the skirt. This is the front. As you guys can see here, I didn't add any seam allowance because we do have a lot of stretch. So once I cut that out, I just put it on another piece of folded fabric, and then I cut out the back piece. Now for the back, I just made the train a little bit longer because I wanted it to kind of drag a little bit more in the back. And then I split the back of the skirt in half because of course we got to add our zipper, and we want it to be like perfectly lined up with the top part. After we have our skirt cut out, I'm cutting out my godets, so that's what I'm doing here. And the godet pattern also comes with that pattern as well. This is my first time working with godets, and I really did a good job. I love it. So yeah, hopping right into the top part. Again, I'm going to put in her measurements and divide it by 4, and I'm using my red marker to just kind of like measure it out. And when you are doing the top, you do want to make sure that it is lined up with the fabric that you cut out for your skirt. And it is kind of different when you're working with this. It may look a little bit confusing, but once you put in your measurements and like detail your line and focus on that, you can fold it back and it'll be a lot better. So once we do that, I'm going to just cut it out. And for the back, y'all see how I kind of cut the bottom at a slant? So you will want to do that, so when you put your zipper in, it's not bunched up in the waist area in the back. So we're going to cut out 2 of these, one for the front, one for the back, and then that's it. So now I'm going to just also add that little slant at the top of my skirt because I forgot to do that. And this is my first time adding like that, that diagonal slant. But I had watched a YouTube video, and the guy that was making a dress, he did his like that, and I noticed that the back of his dress, it looked so much better. Like, it was perfect. It was seamless when he added the zipper. It wasn't lumpy. So if you guys do that, it would definitely make your dress look a lot better instead of just making that part straight. Like, you can kind of see it here. It's like a little curve in the middle, but you can definitely see a difference if you do that. So now we are ready to take her to the sewing machine. And again, this is the back piece. Where I have it pinned at the top, we're going to just sew that down with a straight stitch. No, with a zigzag stitch. So that's why I'm doing my finger like that. Yeah, we sew it down with a zigzag stitch, and then we're going to go back over it with a straight stitch. But look how clean that look. And y'all can see like it's a little space in the middle. That's where I'm going to put my zipper, so you guys definitely don't have to worry about that. And now that we have the back sewn together, we're going to work on the front. So as you guys can see, the front is one piece, right? We didn't cut it. And I was a little bit nervous, y'all, because I'm like, I cannot fuck this zipper. I mean, not the zipper. I was like, I cannot fuck up the split. Like, the split has to be perfect. So like I said, it was my first time doing it, and I was so nervous, y'all. But you definitely have to practice. You have to try. And I learned that the easiest way for me to do it was split down my skirt right there, like where my split is. I just cut it down, and then I sewed it together, and that way I can make sure that my split was really centered. So after I had that sewn together, I attached my illusion mesh, and then I sewed that down with the zigzag stitch, and then I'm going to do a straight stitch. But I know y'all confused over the zigzag and the straight, but when I show y'all, like right here, you can see the zigzag, it helps it for when it stretches. But you see how you still see it in the back? That's why we do our straight stitch on top of that, so that way that additional fabric can just lay down. So as you guys can see, I'm going to fold it back a little bit, and that's where we're going to do our straight stitch, like right down there, to give it a more seamless look. So now that that's done, I'm going to attach my zipper to the back part of the dress. And I'm going to use a ribbon because that also helps with the waves and stuff. And I'm not going to do a detailed video here as to how I installed my zipper, but I do have another detailed video that I can link below if you guys are not familiar with how to do that. And back to the front of the skirt, we're going to add our godets. And y'all, when I first put on my godet, like, I sewed it on the wrong way. So I had to use my seam ripper and take off all the threading right there and redo it. But that's why we practice. That's why we have trial and error. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. And, you just have to put the work in so that way you can learn from your mistakes. So I did that, and then I'm just attaching my back piece. See, this is what I did wrong. I added my other godet to the back part, and it was just the wrong way. But this is the correct way to do it right here. So I'm just pinning that down, and I'm just going to sew it with a straight stitch. So as you guys can see, I have 2 godets on this side, and it'll be another 2 godets on the other side to give it like that flare. So once we have it sewn on, we just attach our front piece to the back piece, and it may be a little bit off. You see how my illusion mesh is a little bit off at the top where the shoulders are, which is fine, y'all. I'm gonna get better with that. But since I'm sewing it, you really can't tell. You can only tell at the top, and you can always trim that off at the end, or after you try it on your client, and just go from there. So now that we have the hard part off the way, we can just place our applique to see how it looks. And for me, like after I do the base, I like to put it on the mannequin because I need to see what's going on, like what it's giving, like, you know, because when you're working like on your table or you're measuring thing or the floor or wherever, you get a little nervous. You like, damn, I don't know if it's gonna look right. So after I sew everything together, I like to put my base piece on the mannequin, and then that way I can kind of see, you know, where I'm going. And with this one, my mannequin is kind of tall, so you see it's not really dragging too much at the bottom. But when I put it on her, y'all, it was perfect. It was long. It was flowing. Like, it just was giving everything I wanted it to give. So after I did that, I just had some red horsehair because I wanted it to kind of match. I had white, but, you know, you want it to blend. You don't want it to stand out too much. So I also have another video where this is more detailed, and you guys can also see how I installed my horsehair. But you basically just add it to the bottom of your dress, sew it on, and then you flip it over and do another straight stitch, so that way it's not flapping. So that's what I'm doing here. Now, after I did this, I wanted to do my first fitting. And as you guys can see, like, I hit that on the head. Like, I'm still working on doing my measurements perfectly. I want to add more space than making it too small, because you can always take it in. But one time, y'all, I had made my dress too small, and I went through so much trying to make it fit. So everything was looking good. I just had to take it in a little bit more on the side, which is why you see that space there. I didn't do my straight stitch, and I'm gonna zoom in so y'all can see it. So I left this space so just in case it was too small, I can have room to, you know, take that out and leave a little bit of space to make it bigger. But I honestly had to take it in. So once that fit good, I know that I had to cut the split up a little bit higher because, again, she's short. So I had to take that up a little bit more to give a little more that action. And then I basically measured my applique. So once I got the right measurements for my applique, I just put it on the mannequin, and then I pinned it on. Now, a lot of people use sewing mannequins for this, but since she was so small, I could not, like, I have a sewing mannequin now, but it was harder for me to pin on my applique onto the sewing mannequin. So I just put it back on here, and honestly, I'm glad that I did, because I was still able to pull the applique, stretch it, and pin it. So when we sewing on our appliques, we definitely want to pull it as much as possible. It looked like some nipples, you know, gonna be showing here, but like I said, I did the measurements as you guys seen in the previous clip. So I'm just pulling and pinning. You want to pull it as hard and far as you can. Like, this way you can ensure that your applique would not be looking loose or baggy or anything like that. So just pull it as much as you can. And also be sure to start in the middle. That way when you get to the outside, you know, it's easier to have your applique center and to pull it as much as possible. Once I have everything pinned on, I just glue on my little gems, and I think I used like some E6000 for that, to just like glue them on. But I do not recommend using a plastic bag underneath, because I had a hard time pulling it off once the glue dried. So again, the same thing with sewing my applique. I start in the middle, so that way when I get to the outside, I can pull it more. And you see here, I'm having a hard time pulling it off. So yeah, you can just, you know, put it on your mannequin or just find something else to put on there. And also, when you are threading your needles, please double thread your needles, because I've done a dress where I've single threaded my needle, and you know, the thread was popping when she tried it on, and I was like, never again, baby. We got to work smarter, not harder. So from now on, I always double my thread when I do my needles for the applique. Okay, y'all, so after all that work, this is what we got. And y'all, I was so fucking proud of myself. Like, for this to be my third prom dress, this is what she wanted. This is the picture she sent me. But as y'all can see, like, my dress looked so much better than that one. The bottom was given, like the split was given. She just looked so cute, and I I just had to like take a moment to admire my work. Now, this is what we work so hard for. When you see your dress on a client, or when you see your dress on the runway in a photo shoot, whatever, y'all, it just make the hard work worth it, you know. And as I get better, I'll be able to work a little more quicker. But yeah, I was so proud of myself.